and welcome to Network Africa. I'm Layo Adegoke. We begin today in Cote d'Ivoire, where a ban on public demonstrations has ended in the country. This comes just as the opposition plans to begin a campaign of civil disobedience against President Alassane Ouattara's third-term bid. The opposition is demanding changes to the Constitutional Court and the Electoral Commission and the withdrawal of Mr. Ouattara's candidacy. However, the president is accusing the opposition of scaring the public in order to disrupt the electoral process. Meanwhile, International Crisis Group has urged the government to allow former President Laurent Gbagbo and exiled ex-speaker Guillaume Soro to return to the country. Supporters of Gbagbo and Soro have condemned the government for excluding them from the presidential election and threatened to hold protests. Guinea has closed its border with Senegal and Guinea-Bissau ahead of the country's general elections. This comes as President Alpha Condé seeks a controversial third term in the October 18 poll. Guinea-Bissau's Interior Minister, Butch Kande, says the border had been closed since Sunday, but his Guinean counterpart did not confirm. However, an unnamed government official says the closure is for security reasons. The president is taking advantage of a new constitution to circumvent a two-term presidential limit. A civil society organization known as the Progressive Ambassadors of Nigeria, PAN, has called on President Muhammadu Buhari of Nigeria to consider the immediate evacuation of stranded Nigerian traders in Ghana. PAN says the appeal follows the rising cases of frustration, hunger and impoverishment, feelings of abandonment and conflicting reports of attempted suicides by several victims. Several groups in Ghana have also been calling for the evacuation of Nigerians in the country, but according to the Nigerian High Commission, there has been no formal request in this regard made to it. Let's get more on this story from the Vice President of the Nigerian Association of Traders in Ghana, Mr. Kizito Obiora. He joins us now from Kumasi. Hello, Mr. Kizito. Thank you for speaking to us on Network Africa. Do give us an update on the situation of Nigerian traders in Ghana.
Things still remain the same in Ghana here since then. We are still like that. Nothing changed. Everything is still like that. All the shops are still under lock and key. Nothing has happened. They have not attempted to open any of them. We have visited their offices as they directed us. When you go there, you will see that it's total, just what they are doing is total deliberate. They're deliberately doing what they are doing. If whatever, no matter the paper you take, go there. As I told you before, some of our people have registered with GIPC. They even go with the GIPC documents, everything, show them everything, and then they will tell you, okay, give us 2 weeks, we will call you. Nobody will call you. It's too so frustrated. In fact, it's so frustrated. We don't know what to do again. So we are still lying like that.
But earlier this year, Vice President of Nigeria, Professor Yemi Osinbajo, was in Ghana to mediate on this matter. What has changed since then?
Opportunity to meet with our Vice President last time he visited Ghana, His Excellency Yemi Osinbajo. We have discussion one-on-one with him. The only thing I cannot forget is that he made it very clear to us that he's even surprised that the whole shops are still under lock and key. That the Ghana government assured them, tell them that all the shops have been open for a very long time. But it's a surprise hearing from us, from the horse's mouth, that our shop are still under lock. That as soon as he go back to Abuja, he will meet with the president and they will see what they can do so that the shop will be quickly open. While we are waiting for the dialogue between the two countries, because we are fully aware that the two countries are now into roundtable maybe discussion to see how best to solve this problem once and for all. But surprisingly to me, up till now, nothing has happened. Nothing has happened. Nobody have called us for any meeting to see way forward. All the shops are still like that. Nobody is telling us anything. And the people are dying. Things are very, very critical for us here in Ghana. I'm telling you, in fact, we are losing a lot of things. People are dying. Even some people are threatening to suicide. So, in fact, it's better if some of you have time, you just come down to Ghana and see our situation. We are really suffering. We are really suffering here. It's not easy for us at all. Think of somebody whose his shop is closed for 8 good months. After that 8 months, they open the shop less than 2, they come and lock it again up till now. So what do you expect from that person? So people are dying.
All right, Mr. Kizito, there are also some groups in Nigeria that are calling for the evacuation of Nigerians from Ghana. Are the agitations in Ghana the same with these groups?
Group who are agitating for the evacuation, they are not far from the truth. Because I'm very sure that some of them, their brothers and sisters, in fact, their relatives are here in Ghana, and they will be telling them what they are suffering. I believe it's based on that they are doing the agitation, and we are totally in line with them. Instead of people being here dying silently, or maybe tomorrow you hear that Nigeria have stolen or have done this or that. That's what everybody will hear very easy. News will carry it all over all over the world. Instead of that, let government find solution for us. If there is need of evacuating us, let us go back to Nigeria. If our government cannot persuade Ghana government to open the shop for us, while they are continuing the negotiation, at the end of the day, I said it before, I'm very, very sure that whatever be the outcome of the negotiation, the fault will not be from us. So we're in opinion, instead of we being stranded here, and before you know it, it can result in another thing. Some people are even threatening suicide or whatever. Somebody who cannot feed his family again, even his people in Nigeria, they cannot do anything for them again. So what do you expect from that person? It can lead him to do anything. So based on that, if government cannot do anything for us, at least the least they can do for us now is to evacuate us. As simple as like that. So we are totally in line with them. So what they are doing is total is totally acceptable. So let government look into it and see the best way of handling this, because we are suffering.
All right, then, Mr. Kizito Obiora, National Vice President of the Nigerian Association of Traders in Ghana. Thank you for joining us on Network Africa. Well, authorities in Sierra Leone have imposed a travel ban on former President Ernest Bai Koroma and several officials who served during his term over allegations of corruption. This means that Mr. Koroma and over 100 people will not be allowed to leave the country, as they have been ordered to pay back stolen money, forfeit their houses, or they will be further investigated. However, Mr. Koroma's opposition All People's Congress, APC party, has dismissed the allegations, with a lawyer for the party saying they will go to court to challenge the travel ban. South Africans have been reacting to the latest unemployment figures released on Tuesday, which showed that over 2 million people lost their jobs during the second quarter of this year, which coincided with the hard COVID-19 lockdown in the country. According to statistics South Africa, the country's labor force decreased by 5 million to 18.4 million in the period in question.
Mozambique is one of the 2.2 million people in South Africa who have lost their jobs in the second quarter of 2020, owing to the COVID-19 lockdown, which has sent unemployment, as per the extended definition, to over 40%. Mace lost her job mid-year after the company she worked for returned workers, joining the longest queue at the Randburg, Johannesburg Labour offices in hope of getting the unemployment insurance fund. She says it is unfortunate that she is now part of the unemployment statistics.
That's a very sad fact and truth. It's emotional, but for me, I feel like the root or the cause of this thing is not mainly the COVID. I feel like our government has not really been looking and taking care of its citizens.
I've got a company, and people have lost their jobs. I've not been able to pay them. the usual amount that I usually pay them, and it's bad.
On Tuesday, the Statistician General released a second quarter labor force survey, which showed that the 2.2 million people who lost their jobs means that there are only 14.1 million employed people in the country, and it's the lowest since 2011. The largest employment decreases were observed in the formal sector, which accounts for 71.1% of total employment, with 1.2 million jobs lost.
The decrease from the first quarter from 7.1 million unemployed persons to 4.3 million unemployed persons accounts for a decline in the unemployment rate, which moved from 30.1 to 23.3%.
Tashmia Ismail Savi, Chief Executive for Yes for Youth, a work placement organization for young people, says these unemployment figures were expected.
You are going to expect that a survey done in the midst of lockdown would have this sort of result. The real results, I think, are the next quarter, what we see in the coming year. How quickly are we able to recover from this? We are seeing some indicators. Mall traffic has increased. We're seeing some company results showing trading has resumed to 70 to 90% comparison to last year this time. So there is some bounce back. Where we will worry are the businesses that have closed down permanently.
According to Stats SA, the number of discouraged work seekers decreased by 447,000, and the number of people who weren't economically active for reasons other than discouragement increased by 5.6 million quarter on quarter. South Africa's President Cyril Ramaphosa has called on the country to work together to ensure a rapid rebound in employment.
Ugandans are awaiting a ruling from the East African Court of Justice that's either going to affirm or nullify the decision of Uganda's Supreme Court to uphold a constitutional amendment that removed the age limit for presidential candidates. The 2017 amendment eliminated the requirement that candidates vying for the presidency be under 75 years old. This then allows President Yoweri Museveni, who is over 75 years old, to run for another 5-year term in the January 2021 general elections. He has been in power since 1986. Lawyer Male Mabiziri went to the East African Court based in neighboring Tanzania to challenge the Supreme Court's verdict. He wants the clause on an age limit for presidential candidates reinstated. Well, the Mozambican Health Ministry is asking all companies and institutions in the capital, Maputo, to set up isolation rooms within the premises for holding people suspected to have contracted coronavirus. Firms have also been told to set up COVID-19 Management Institutional Commission to manage suspected and confirmed cases of COVID-19 and to keep in touch with health authorities. The commissions will include people trained on how to handle the disease. The country has lately witnessed a steady increase in the number of confirmed cases, particularly in the capital, Maputo. Nearly 137,000 people have been tested for coronavirus so far, with almost 8,600 confirmed cases. However, there have been 59 deaths and 5,205 recoveries. There's more on Network Africa. Please stay with us. Kenya's Labour Court suspends a strike called by workers at the Kenyatta National Hospital. Welcome back to the program. Kenya's Labour Court has suspended a strike called by workers at Kenyatta National Hospital, East Africa's largest referral hospital. Justice Maureen Onyango ordered the more than 5,000 workers back to work pending a hearing. Unions representing nurses, doctors, and the hospital support staff have been directed to appear in court on the 6th of October. The workers were protesting against delayed payment of revised salaries and allowances agreed on in 2012. The strike's suspension comes a day after one person died in the hospital's car park. Let's speak now to Kenyan journalist Abby Agino. Hello, Abby. Thank you so much for speaking to us on Network Africa. Tell us, are health workers at the Kenyatta National Hospital complying with this court order?
Thank you so much for having me. Well, so far, it is very clear that the workers have been able to resume duty. According to a spot check, all the workers, 5,000 and plus workers at Kenyatta National Hospital are actually back to duty. And the critical message they are sending is that they've suspended the strike on condition that the government does heed to their issues in terms of better salary packages, as well as ensuring that they get all the demands that they had set out.
So what happens after this? Is the government willing to implement the 2012 agreement?
Well, the government has maintained its position, indicating that currently the basis for them to review the salaries is unjustified, considering that the economy is undergoing a lot of turbulence when it comes to revenue into the national treasury. So the government has sent signals indicating that for them, the current situation might not be a major priority. On the other hand, the Kenya National Nurses Union has maintained that as much as they have suspended the strike, it has not stopped the strike. So it is a matter that they will be reviewing as the days go by.
All right, Abby, just before I let you go, no doubt there will be a great impact, this strike, on the country's health sector and the government's efforts to contain coronavirus.
Come again, I didn't get your question.
I was saying there's obviously a great impact this would have on the health sector, isn't it?
Correct. So far, the strike, which started on Monday till now, has had far-reaching effects in terms of paralyzing services at the country's largest referral hospital. So the strike literally left patients who are normally using this facility for normal healthcare. They have had to seek alternative outlets, which are quite a bit expensive. So for majority of the work of the patients, they have had to really contend with very uncertain times. And clearly, the resumption back to duty is a good sign for the patients. Remember, Kenyatta Referral Hospital has a huge foot traffic when it comes to the number of patients they see per day. So when such a facility grinds to a halt, it literally affects the common citizen who basically relies on services of this facility.
All right then, Abby Agina, Kenyan journalist, thank you so much for your time on Network Africa. In South Sudan, the United Nations says delays in implementing the peace agreement signed in 2018 risks delaying elections beyond the agreed 3-year time frame. The world body adds that fresh life needs to be urgently breathed into the peace process to avoid this outcome. 8 months ago, the rival parties came together to join a new united transitional government that promised to bring peace and prosperity to war-torn South Sudan, but that promise is yet to be realized.
COVID-19 has slowed down the peace process, but the pandemic is not entirely to blame. The peace process and the peace agreement is limping along, and it needs to move much faster. My concern about the delay is that it risks pushing elections out well beyond the timeline of the agreement. This will add to the growing disillusionment amongst communities about whether the political will exists to give South Sudanese citizens the opportunity to choose their leaders. The role of the government in managing the country's finances is pretty straightforward. Step 1, account for the money coming into the country. Step 2, account for how that money is spent. It's a simple process, but what it requires and depends on is transparency and accountability. And every citizen of this country, as is the case with every other country in the world, has the right to know what is being earned by the state and what is being spent on their behalf. And that information is not available in South Sudan. For a number of years, we've had an agreement to notify the South Sudan authorities when our peacekeepers move around the countries. And we do this because we have a respect for the sovereignty of South Sudan. However, there is no sign of similar respect from the SSPDF for our need to have freedom of movement to protect civilians and to build peace.
Meanwhile, the United Nations says torrential rains and flooding across South Sudan have created the threat of a catastrophic level of hunger and left hundreds of thousands homeless. A World Food Programme alert shows that about 700,000 people are in crisis after floodwaters swept across the country, submerging villages, land and livestock.
There was a very significant flood which is covering vast areas of the country now. Now, more than 36 counties of the country underwater, submerging entire villages, homes, farmsteads, killing livestock, and putting an end to livelihoods, etc. We've seen, as I mentioned, harvests being decimated in Jonglei State that I've just come back from 2 visits from. 45% of all the land that was planted with cereals, with sorghum, the mainstay of the diet, have been lost this year. That comes in addition to what we saw very similar last year. This flooding crisis is coming on top of a very grim hunger situation in Jonglei, where already this year 1.4 million people were suffering from acute and severe hunger, in addition to over 300,000 children under 5 who are acutely malnourished. We've been seeing natural disasters, we've been seeing conflict displacing people. That's the situation we're in right now. And we've yet to get data back to confirm how bad it will be. But I think we all need to prepare ourselves that we must do everything in our power to avoid famine and to avoid the levels of hunger, the catastrophic hunger that we've seen sadly in the past in this country.
And that's where we end Network Africa for today. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Layo Adegoke.